Our theme this month is how to stop interrupting each other so we can start communicating. And we have one theme every month with 4 short videos and an action in each video that you can take to communicate more clearly so you have less conflict, more harmony, and deeper connections. So one of the reasons that people interrupt is because the other person is point stacking, which means they're saying one thing, and then before they ever go defer to the other person, they say a new thing. And then they say another thing. And so if you're listening, you think, okay, I wanted to comment on that. Oh, wait, we're on to the next thing. Okay, I want to comment on that. And then the next thing. And then you might interrupt because you've got things to say about things that are like quickly disappearing into the history of the conversation. And so what we have to do to eliminate this problem is to commit together on one point at a time, which means I can talk about the thing that I want to talk about, but I don't get to do and. It's one thing, and then it's the other person's turn to talk about that as well. And we go back and forth like that, as many turns as we need, so that we can make sure that each person gets to communicate about everything that we're talking about, and we don't lose sight of things along the way or feel the need to interrupt. We know we're going to get a turn to weigh in on that one thing before we go focus on the next thing. One very common reason that people interrupt is because they need to correct something or make a clarification. They hear the other person say something and they're like, no, that's not what happened. And so actually your conversations have 2 components. The first part is agreement on the facts. We have a tendency to filter things through our own limiting beliefs and our own internal structures, and then we act like those are facts. But we have to come to this agreement first before we can go on to our feelings. If I'm like, hey, you said I was a terrible wife, and my husband's like, whoa, I said this isn't my favorite dinner. We got to know what we're working with, the facts first, before we can start talking about the feelings. And so part A of the conversation is actually, hey, this is what happened. Would you agree? And when we have that agreement, when we know we're looking at factual stuff, now we can start talking about how we feel about it so that we can do any damage control or any correction going forward together. So facts first, and then we get to feelings. Interrupting happens for lots of reasons. And one of the reasons is that a person fears they won't be heard. They fear they won't have a turn to share what they want to share. And maybe that comes from your childhood, or perhaps it's a pattern in this relationship that they don't feel there's ever space made for them to talk. And it constantly feels like the other person is dominating. And so the way you can get around this is to have an object that is kind of like the speaker's mic. The person whose turn it is the person who's holding the coaster, for example. Because a conversation is a back and forth, right? You have to pass the turn taking, you have to pass the opportunity to speak from one person to another. It's not a monologue. It's not one person gets the floor indefinitely. So this is a verbal cue to remind everybody that when you're holding it, it's your turn to speak. And when you're done, you pass it. And then as the other person holds it, it's your turn to be quiet and attentive and wait until you get this back so that we can stop interrupting and really start hearing each other. One of the reasons that people interrupt is that they are afraid they're going to forget what they want to say. Not all of us have perfect memories. And if in that conversation they think of something they want to say and they're afraid of losing it, they think they have 2 options. One is to just keep thinking about it, and then they're not paying attention to the other person, or they think they have to interrupt so that they can say it. But an easy solution to this is to take a quick note. Get a notepad out, open the notes app on your phone, making sure the other person knows that you're not actually like getting on Facebook, but you're just taking a quick note. Because if you write it down, then you don't have to worry about that. You can go back to giving them your full attention and really listen to them, hear what they have to say, completely be present during their turn, and you'll get to this when it's your turn after you just jot that note down so you can be really open and fully listening to the other person. If you want to make sure you never miss one of these videos, you can go to stacyrocklein.com and sign up for our 10-minute time in. You'll get our monthly theme, the 4 short videos with the actions you can start taking right now to get closer to the people that you love.